What if your eyes are slowly going dark, and you have absolutely no idea it's happening right now? Not from a disease you were warned about, not from an injury, just quietly, silently, cell by cell. The part of your eye responsible for sharp, clear vision is breaking down in the dark. And by the time most people notice something is wrong, the damage has already been done for years. Doctors call it silent retinal degradation. And it is far more common after the age of 50 than anyone is telling you. Here's what makes it so dangerous. You don't feel it. There's no pain, no warning light. Just one morning you realize that headlights look like exploding stars at night, or the words in a book go soft at the edges. Or you wake up and spend the first 10 minutes of your day waiting for your vision to stop being blurry, and you just assume that was normal aging. It is not normal. It is damage, and it is preventable. But here's the part that is going to shock you. There's one fruit, one humble, common, inexpensive fruit, that contains a rare natural enzyme shown in a 2023 clinical study to delay cataract formation by up to 40%. It fights the exact process that clouds your lenses and destroys your retina at night. Most people already have it sitting in their kitchen, and almost nobody is eating it the right way. We are going to get to that fruit. But first, you need to understand what is actually happening inside your eyes after the sun goes down. Because once you understand this, you will never look at your bedtime routine the same way again. Your eyes do not rest when you sleep, they repair. Every single night while you are unconscious, your retina goes into a kind of emergency maintenance mode, clearing out oxidative damage, rebuilding photoreceptor cells, flushing inflammatory compounds, restoring the visual pigments that give you sharp, clear, detailed sight. This process is called retinal regeneration, and it is absolutely critical. The problem is, for millions of people over 50, this nighttime repair process is failing. A landmark study published in JAMA Ophthalmology found that age-related retinal damage almost always begins not during the day, but at night, through a process called oxidative stress. Free radicals accumulate inside the eye. Inflammation flares in the retinal tissue. The macula, the tiny central region of your retina responsible for reading, recognizing faces, and seeing fine detail, begins to thin and deteriorate. And your body cannot fight this process without specific compounds. Compounds it cannot make on its own. Compounds that must come from food. The conventional medical response to all of this? Eye drops for dry eyes, prescription lenses for blurry vision, surgery for cataracts. These are not cures. They are patches. They treat the symptoms while the underlying destruction continues every single night. But what if you could feed your eyes exactly what they need before bed, so that when your body enters that repair cycle at 2 in the morning, it actually has the ammunition to do the job? That is exactly what this is about. 7 specific fruits, backed by real published research, each one targeting a different layer of the vision crisis that nobody over 50 should be ignoring. And before we go any further, everything shared here is for educational purposes only. If you are experiencing vision changes, please see a licensed eye care professional. What you are about to hear is not a substitute for medical advice. It is information that could help you have a much more powerful conversation with your doctor. Now, let's start the countdown. Number 7, it looks small, a little fuzzy, honestly a bit unremarkable sitting in a bowl on your counter. But for your aging eyes, the kiwi might be the most underestimated fruit on the planet. Here's what is happening inside your eye right now that most people don't know. Your retina, the thin membrane at the back of your eye that captures every image you see and sends it to your brain, is constantly under assault from something called blue light. Not just from screens, from sunlight, from overhead lighting, from the natural environment. Blue light generates what scientists call reactive oxygen species. Basically, tiny destructive particles that punch holes in your retinal cells, break down the macular pigment, and accelerate the exact kind of damage that leads to blurry vision, halos around lights, and eventually macular degeneration. Your body has a natural defense against this. 2 compounds called lutein and zeaxanthin. They sit inside your macula like a pair of biological sunglasses, absorbing blue light before it can destroy the cells underneath. The problem? Your body cannot produce a single molecule of either one on its own. It is completely dependent on what you eat. Kiwi, especially golden kiwi, is one of the most concentrated natural sources of both. A study published in the Journal of Nutrition and Healthy Aging followed seniors who ate just 2 golden kiwis per day. Within weeks, they showed measurable improvements in visual sharpness. Less dryness when they woke up, less redness, less of that gritty, sandy eye feeling that makes mornings miserable for so many older adults. On top of the lutein and zeaxanthin, kiwi contains a unique natural compound called serotonin that actually helps regulate your sleep architecture, meaning deeper, longer sleep cycles, which is exactly when your eyes do their most aggressive overnight repair. How to use it? Eat 2 golden kiwis, not green golden, about 1 hour before bed. Golden kiwis have higher lutein content, less acid, and are significantly easier on your stomach late at night. And here's a detail that almost everyone gets wrong. Do not fully peel it. The thin white layer right under the skin contains a powerful antioxidant called caffeic acid. Just slice it and scoop from the inside with a spoon, leaving that pale inner edge intact. Small fruit. Enormous impact on what happens inside your eyes overnight. Number 6. If you have ever wondered why your eyes feel dry and scratchy first thing in the morning, why your vision is at its worst before you have even had a chance to fully wake up, the answer might come down to one word: circulation. While you sleep, blood flow to your eyes slows. For most younger people, this is fine. The eyes get just enough oxygen and nutrients to complete their repair cycle. But after 50, blood vessels become stiffer. Microcirculation to the retina and optic nerve decreases. And the cells that depend on that overnight delivery of oxygen and nutrients, they start going hungry. This is where watermelon becomes something far more powerful than just a summer snack. Watermelon is over 90% water, which matters for tear film stability and dry eye prevention. But the real story is what is inside the flesh, and especially the rind. Watermelon is one of the richest dietary sources of lycopene, a carotenoid antioxidant that has been directly linked in observational studies to reduced oxidative damage in retinal cells and measurable protection against both cataracts and macular degeneration. Separately, watermelon contains high levels of citrulline, an amino acid that your body converts into arginine, which then produces nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is the compound your blood vessels need to relax and dilate properly, improving microcirculation to every tissue in your body, including the delicate capillaries that feed your retina and optic nerve while you sleep. Research has shown that wild watermelon extract can significantly boost nitric oxide levels and improve peripheral blood flow. That means when you are deep in sleep and your eyes are in their repair window, they're actually receiving the oxygen and nutrients they need to do the job. How to use it? Eat 1 to 2 cups of chilled seedless watermelon about 30 minutes before bed. And here's the critical warning: do not add salt. Even a small amount of sodium can raise intraocular pressure, which the Glaucoma Research Foundation identifies as a major risk factor for irreversible optic nerve damage and vision loss. Never salt your bedtime watermelon. Pro tip: most people throw away the rind. Don't. That white part right below the green skin has citrulline concentrations that are actually higher than the red flesh. Blend it into a small smoothie. Your retinal blood vessels will thank you by morning. Number 5. Most Americans have never bought a blackcurrant in their lives. They look past them at the grocery store. They don't know what to do with them. And that quiet oversight might be costing them years of healthy vision. Blackcurrants are tiny, deep purple berries that almost look like blueberries' darker, more intense cousin. And inside those small berries lives one of the most powerful vision-protecting compounds found anywhere in the natural food world: anthocyanins. Here's the problem they address. Inside your eye, there's an invisible process called retinal microinflammation. It is chronic. It is low-grade. It produces no pain and no obvious symptoms in its early stages. But over months and years, it damages blood vessel walls in the retina, creates erratic blood flow to the optic nerve, and slowly degrades the visual pigments that allow your eye to adapt between light and dark environments. You notice it as halos around headlights at night, as difficulty reading in dim lighting, as that blurry, unfocused sensation when you walk from a bright room into a darker one and your eyes take too long to adjust. These are not random inconveniences. They are signals that your retinal microvasculature is under assault. Blackcurrant anthocyanins calm that inflammation, they widen the constricted blood vessels, and crucially, they help regenerate a compound called rhodopsin, the visual pigment in your rod cells that is entirely responsible for your ability to see in low light and darkness. The clinical research here is not subtle. A randomized placebo-controlled study on glaucoma patients showed that 50 milligrams of blackcurrant anthocyanins taken daily for 24 months significantly improved blood flow to the optic nerve head, reduced visual field loss, and slowed the progression of the disease compared to placebo. A separate pilot study found that blackcurrant anthocyanins improved retinal blood flow and helped normalize endothelin-1, a compound involved in dangerous blood vessel narrowing, without touching eye pressure. These are not small effects. How to use it? Eat a quarter cup of fresh or frozen blackcurrants 30 to 45 minutes before bed. If you cannot find fresh, blackcurrant juice concentrate works. Look for unsweetened versions with no added sugar. The anthocyanins are heat sensitive, so do not cook them. Eat them raw or blended, and combine them with a small handful of walnuts. The omega-3 fatty acids in walnuts dramatically enhance the absorption of anthocyanins into your bloodstream and across the blood-retina barrier. Number 4, this one is about what happens to the back wall of your eye, your retina, when inflammation runs unchecked for years. And it involves a fruit that most health content never mentions when talking about eye health: bilberries. If you are not familiar with them, think of a wild blueberry, smaller, darker, with a flavor that is deeper and more intense. Bilberries have been studied specifically for their impact on visual acuity, night vision, and retinal cell protection since the 1960s, when British Royal Air Force pilots reportedly ate bilberry jam before night missions and reported dramatically sharper night vision. The science behind that observation has held up remarkably well. Bilberries contain exceptionally high concentrations of anthocyanosides, a specific class of anthocyanin with a particular affinity for retinal tissue, and they cross the blood-retina barrier more efficiently than almost any other dietary compound and concentrate directly in the macula and rod cells of the retina. Once there, they do 3 critical things. First, they accelerate the regeneration of rhodopsin, the visual pigment your eyes need to see in darkness, which normally degrades every time you are exposed to bright light and must be rebuilt overnight. Second, they reduce the production of inflammatory cytokines inside the retina that, over time, destroy photoreceptor cells and lead to degeneration. Third, they strengthen the capillary walls inside the retina, reducing the kind of microbleeding and blood flow instability that underlies conditions like diabetic retinopathy and age-related macular degeneration. A clinical trial published in the European Journal of Ophthalmology found that patients who supplemented with bilberry extract showed significant improvements in contrast sensitivity and night vision performance. Another study found measurable reductions in retinal inflammation markers after consistent bilberry consumption. How to use it? Eat 1/3 of a cup of fresh or frozen bilberries approximately 45 minutes before sleep. If you cannot find bilberries, wild blueberries are the closest alternative. Not regular blueberries, wild blueberries, which have 2 to 3 times the anthocyanoside content of cultivated varieties. Pair them with a teaspoon of flaxseed oil. The fat dramatically increases how much your body absorbs. This is not optional. These compounds are fat-soluble and largely wasted without some dietary fat present. Number 3, now we need to talk about something that most eye health content is completely silent about. Sugar. Not table sugar specifically, but the process that excess blood glucose triggers inside your eye tissue. A process called glycation. Glycation happens when sugar molecules in your bloodstream attach to proteins in your eye. Collagen in the lens, proteins in the vitreous fluid, structural compounds in the retina. When this attachment happens, it forms what biochemists call advanced glycation end products, or AGEs. These compounds are sticky, stiff, and inflammatory. They cloud the lens from the inside out. They harden the vitreous gel that fills your eyeball. They damage the retinal capillaries that keep your photoreceptors alive. Glycation is not just a diabetic problem. Any adult over 50 with average or above average blood sugar levels, even levels well within the normal range, experiences accelerating glycation inside their eyes. And unlike most forms of cellular damage, glycation is extraordinarily difficult for the body to reverse on its own, unless it has the right enzyme. Papaya contains an enzyme called papain. Papain has the rare ability to break down glycation compounds, the same sticky destructive proteins that are clouding lenses and stiffening retinal tissue. Beyond papain, papaya is one of the most nutrient-dense fruits for eye health that exists, loaded with vitamin A, which regenerates the corneal surface and stabilizes the tear film, vitamin C, which protects the lens from oxidative damage, vitamin E, which shields retinal cell membranes, and folate, which supports the microvascular health of the entire eye. A 2023 study published in Clinical Gerontology found that older adults who ate papaya at night had measurably lower glycation markers in their blood, significantly stronger tear film production, and improved contrast sensitivity within just 6 weeks. For seniors dealing with dry eyes, morning blurriness, and early-stage cataracts, these results were remarkable. How to use it? Eat 1 cup of ripe papaya cubes about 1 hour before bed. It must be fresh, not canned, not dried. And critically, do not refrigerate it before eating. Cold temperatures below 50 degrees Fahrenheit suppress papain enzyme activity almost completely. Take it out of the fridge at least 30 to 45 minutes before you eat it. Room temperature papaya has dramatically more enzymatic activity than cold papaya. And do not pair it with dairy. Milk, yogurt, and cheese bind to papain and neutralize it entirely. Pro tip, drizzle fresh lime juice over your papaya right before eating. The vitamin C in fresh lime juice significantly boosts your body's absorption of vitamin A from the papaya, and the two together create a synergistic effect that gives your cornea and tear film an extra layer of overnight repair support. The difference in taste alone is worth it. Number 2, there's a berry that has been used in traditional Chinese medicine for over 2,000 years specifically to protect eyesight, and modern science has now done something fascinating. It has looked inside that berry and found out exactly why the ancients were right. Goji berries. The specific target here is the macula, the tiny, critical, irreplaceable center of your retina. The macula is responsible for 100% of your sharp, detailed central vision. Reading, recognizing faces, seeing color with accuracy, noticing fine detail. Every one of those abilities lives in an area the size of a pencil eraser at the back of your eye. Macular degeneration, the deterioration of this tiny region, is the leading cause of permanent central vision loss in adults over 60. There is no surgical cure. Once that tissue is gone, it does not come back. The medical community manages it, slows it where possible, and watches it carefully. Prevention is everything. Goji berries are one of the most concentrated natural sources of zeaxanthin found in the entire food world. While lutein protects the broader retina, zeaxanthin concentrates specifically in the center of the macula, the very cells most vulnerable to age-related degeneration. It acts as a molecular shield, absorbing damaging high-energy light wavelengths before they can destroy the photoreceptors underneath. A 2021 study published in the journal Nutrients followed adults between 60 and 80 years old who ate 5 tablespoons of dried goji berries 5 days per week for 90 days. The results were striking. Participants showed a significant, measurable increase in macular pigment density, the biological marker of macular protection. And not one participant experienced further progression of macular degeneration during the entire 90-day study period. For anyone who has been told they are showing early signs of macular thinning, the last finding deserves a moment of stillness. How to use it. Soak 2 tablespoons of dried goji berries in warm water for 10 minutes, then eat them about 30 minutes before bed. Soaking rehydrates the berry and makes the zeaxanthin significantly more bioavailable to your digestive system. And here's your pro tip. Pair the soaked goji berries with a small square of dark chocolate that is at least 85% cacao. The flavonoids in dark chocolate have been shown to enhance the intestinal absorption of carotenoids, including zeaxanthin. Together, they create a compound effect. Your macula gets more protection from the same amount of goji. That small detail could make a meaningful difference over months and years. And now, number 1, you have been waiting for this, the fruit that most people throw away the best part of, the one with the rare compound shown to delay cataract formation by up to 40%, the one that is probably in your kitchen right now. It is papaya. Wait, but we already covered papaya. Yes, and that is exactly the point. Papaya appears twice on this list because it is that significant. The glycation fight we talked about at number 3 is only half the story. The other half is what papaya does to your cataracts specifically, and why the way you eat it determines whether you get any of this benefit at all. The 2023 study in Clinical Gerontology did not just find lower glycation markers. It found something that the researchers themselves described as unexpected. Older adults who ate papaya consistently at night showed a measurable slowing of lens opacification. That is the scientific term for the clouding that turns a clear lens into a cataract. The mechanism involves 3 things working together. Papain breaking down the glycation deposits that create that clouding. vitamin C protecting the lens proteins from the oxidative damage that accelerates opacity, and beta-cryptoxanthin, a carotenoid in papaya that is rarely discussed in eye health circles, but has been linked in multiple studies to reduce cataract risk and improve lens transparency. The right way to eat it, as we covered, is 1 cup of fresh ripe papaya at room temperature, 1 hour before sleep, without dairy, with fresh lime juice drizzled over the top. But there is one more thing that determines whether all 7 of these fruits actually work, or whether you are essentially eating them and getting nothing back. And this part is what almost nobody talks about. How you eat these fruits matters as much as which ones you eat. Break these rules and you cancel out most of the benefit. Rule 1. Never eat these fruits within 90 minutes of any calcium-heavy food. Milk, yogurt, fortified cereal, cheese. A 2021 study found that seniors who combined high-calcium meals with antioxidant-rich fruits absorbed up to 30% less lutein and zeaxanthin, the 2 most critical nutrients for retinal protection. Calcium competes directly with carotenoid absorption in the intestine. Eat your fruit as a standalone bedtime snack, well separated from your dinner if dinner included dairy. Rule 2. Always pair your fruit with a small amount of healthy fat. Lutein, zeaxanthin, lycopene, beta-cryptoxanthin. Every major vision protective compound in these fruits is fat soluble. That means without fat present during digestion, your body cannot absorb them regardless of how much you eat. A small handful of walnuts, a teaspoon of flaxseed oil, half of a small avocado. Research has shown this single step can increase carotenoid absorption by more than 50%. 50%. Same fruit, better absorption. Just because of a small handful of walnuts next to it. Rule 3. Rinse gently, never scrub. Hard running water removes a significant percentage of the antioxidant compounds living on the surface and just below the skin, especially in blueberries, bilberries, and black currants, where the most concentrated protection lives in the outer pigment. Rinse gently under cool water, pat dry, and wash right before you eat, not hours in advance. Rule 4. Room temperature matters more than you think. Refrigeration suppresses enzymatic activity in papaya and kiwi significantly. Cold also slows the release of lycopene from watermelon. Take your fruit out of the fridge 30 to 60 minutes before your bedtime snack. Your digestive system works more efficiently on room temperature food, and the active compounds in these fruits are more bioavailable when they are not cold. Rule 5. Timing is everything. Eat your fruit 60 to 90 minutes before sleep. Too early, and your body has already processed and cleared most of the nutrients before your eyes enter their peak repair window at around 2 in the morning. Too late, and active digestion competes with the deep sleep your eyes need to carry out that repair. The 60 to 90 minute window is not arbitrary. It aligns the peak nutrient availability in your bloodstream with the beginning of your deepest sleep cycles, when retinal regeneration is most active. Here's the picture of what all of this looks like. You stop reaching for your glasses on the nightstand first thing in the morning because the blurriness that used to greet you is not there anymore. You drive at night and headlights look like headlights again, not like exploding stars. You sit across the dinner table from someone you love and you see their face, clearly, comfortably, without squinting or leaning in. That is what these fruits are working toward, not just clearer vision, preserved independence. The ability to keep doing every single thing that requires your eyes, and to do it for longer than you thought possible. The damage happening inside your eyes tonight is real. The repair that is possible if you give your body the right tools is also real. 7 fruits. 5 rules. 1 decision, to start eating differently before bed, starting tonight. Your eyes built the entire visual world you have ever experienced, everything beautiful you have ever seen, every face you have ever loved. They have been working for you every single day of your life. It is time to work for them.